This is the Comrade Show. The Comrade Show with Comrade Lante Oriaki. Live on Facebook and YouTube. Like us, follow us, and be the first to know. This is the Comrade Show. The Comrade Show with Comrade Lante Oriaki. Live on Facebook.
Yes. A very good evening, good morning, good afternoon to you, Nigerians across the world. Welcome to this segment of the Comrade Show. This is the Comrade and Friends. And this evening we are going to be looking at some matters affecting our nation, Nigeria. And I have a team as usual. I call them the Musketeers. The Musketeers will be doing justice to the topic of this evening. But please, if you are joining us, let's share the broadcast. Let's get some numbers together. So I can assure you that we're going to have, we're going to be having a very, a brilliant, program today, because the brains, coming together this evening to analyze issues, our brains who are going to do proper justice to, the matters of the state of Nigeria, as it were. Let's just take a second and, play our signature tune, and we'll be back in a jiffy.
And YouTube. Like us, follow us, and be the first to know. This is the Comrade Show. The Comrade Show with Comrade Lante Oriaki. Live on Facebook and YouTube. Like us, follow us, and be the first.
Oh yes, my people, it's the Comrade and Friends and the Comrade Show. Yes, I see you, Felicia Eboigbe. Thank you so much for joining. Happy New Month to you. Friday Oserale, thank you so much. Leslie Esse, thank you so much. Harry Palacio, I greet you. Happy New Month to you. Akugbe Motana, thank you so much. Baba Kesji, the man from the same local government. I salute you, my brother. Sonny Como, thank you so very much. Sandra, let's share this broadcast. Let's get some numbers together. It's the Comrade Show. My name is Comrade Lante Oriaki. That has not changed. Whenever it does, the show, I'm going to let you know. Otatesi Aye Edomade, a very good evening to you. Patty Ebua, thank you so much. Let's keep sharing. Sonny Como, I see you, my brother. Maggie Joy, Dave, greetings to you, all my people from Spain. Buenas tardes and muchas gracias todos. Yes, my friends from France, I greet you all. Collins Ogiefa, thank you so much. Sarah Kings, Kingsley Ogbebo, very good evening to you and happy new month to you from wherever you are watching from. Let's keep sharing. Let's get some numbers together. Before I bring on the members of the team, the Comrades and Friends. Yes, so greetings to you. Innocent Emata, all the way from Italy. I see you. Bishop Osadolo, thank you so much for joining me. God bless you. Let's keep sharing. Let's get the numbers together so we hit the ground running. Yes, Kelly Hansen, a very good evening to you. Ernest Enorama, thank you so very much for joining us. It is the Comrade Show. Thanks for supporting. Matthew Osawe Odion Rose Igbinadolo Wahiawesi, good evening to you. Greetings to you and happy new month to you. Yes, let's keep sharing. This is the Comrades and Friends, and in a short while I'll be bringing the team on. Sandra Scram, a happy new month to you. Thank you very much for joining us. This is the Comrade Show. Thank you so very, very much. Yes, so this is how we roll. The Comrades and Friends. Yes, still on the matter.
To know. This is the Comrade Show. The Comrade Show with Comrade Lante Oriake, live on Facebook and YouTube. Like us, follow us, and be the first to know. This is the Comrade Show. The Comrade Show. Wait.
Yes, my people, it's the Comrade and friends, and we are going to be looking at some matters of national importance that we're going to be looking at today. But we're going to roll right now. Just as you join us, please keep sharing the broadcast so we can get some numbers together. And right now, it's my pleasure to quickly bring on board members of the team. First, amongst the musketeers is pharmacist Austin Iremiran. Pharmacist, please say hello to the people. Pharmacist Austin Iremiran. Good to have you, brother.
Good evening, my people. Happy new month. Thanks for joining. Hope we're going to have a good time. You are welcome.
Thank you so very much, Pharmacist Austin Iremiran. As part of the crew, too, I equally have a regular brother. He's a musketeer. He's one of the musketeers in the house. His name is Dr. Tony Usakmama Agbons. How do you do, sir? Good to have you tonight.
Thank you very much, Comrade Lamptey. Good to be back on the desk again this Sunday. Our people are hello now. Like I always say, we day our day, out on side. November don't reach you. I hello now.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Agbons. Yet I have another doctor in the house. This is a doctor that is our first is our first episode with us. Of course, it's going to be a regular, a comrade going forward, a regular musketeer, one of the team members. But she's not all that. She's a doctor, Dr. Loretta Ogboroko. Loretta, please. The people want to hear your voice. How are you doing this evening?
Thank you very much, all of you on the coverage show. I was just thinking, is there a word that like musketeers? Is there such a word?
Okay, that's a beautiful
anyway,
phrase. Then,
good evening, everyone.
We probably will. Maya check a dictionary money. Well, my people, greetings to you. Good to have you guys on board. I'm going to start with this. For some reasons, I may not be able to play, the video, but I'm going to want you guys to hear this audio, and we're going to take the discussion from there. I did send this audio to some of us. I don't want to play this audio because we're going to start with the issue of Nigeria, particularly having to do with the discourse of restructuring. Please just take a listen.
Haji Usman Bugaje raised a controversial issue on the ownership of the nation's crude oil domiciled majorly in the Niger Delta. According to him, it's wrong for any state to claim that it's oil producing because 72% of the total land mass in the country belong to the North, and that by the United Nations law, it's only the North that actually has the right to claim ownership.
How Nigeria's leaders should think.
There is no oil-producing state. The only oil-producing state is the Nigerian state itself. Because the investment came from the Nigerian state. The territory belongs to the Nigerian state. And whatever mileage you get in the sea, according to the United Nations law of the sea, is a measure of the landmass that you have. That is what gives you the mileage into the sea. If you have a small landmass, you get a small cut of the sea. And the landmass of this country, we know, that gives us that long 200 miles or nautical miles or more into the ocean is because of that 72% of the landmass of this country, which is the North. So what they claim is the offshore oil is actually the oil of the North. If anybody should own it, it's the North. So we should stop using these terms that have no sense at all. There are no oil producing states.
Okay, my people, I'm sure you did hear the audio. And for those who may not have heard correctly, let me quickly let us know that this human being from the north, is telling the world that the Niger Delta oil does not belong to the people of the Niger Delta, and that the crude oil of the Niger Delta belongs to the northerners, and because the northerners, have the landmass of the northerners is 73% of the entire Nigeria. So to that extent, the crude oil, the right people to, claim ownership of Nigeria's crude oil is the northern part of Nigeria. I want to take on Austin. Austin, do you agree with this?
Thank you so much, my brother Lamte. It's indeed laughable. When you sent me the video, I sent a message just to find out, and I still want to ask you again in this public space. Is this a recent video or is somewhat old?
To be very candid, it's not a very recent video. However, because the clamor of restructuring is taking a huge bite right now on the nation, and people are beginning to bring out, some things, of the past, okay, which appear to speak to the issue in a way that many Nigerians, feel that this kind of ideology is usually, the bane, of our progress, because some people want to change others. So
okay, thank you so much for that clarity.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that clarity. However, what the man is saying is true to the extent to which the North has taken Nigeria. So if the statement is old, like you adduced, then obviously that is what they've been following. And that simply puts the reason why there should be restructuring, because that is not the belief and the concept of the entire Nigerian state. But that has been the concept of the North. Probably that's why they've taken us for granted. Not only that, there are so many stuff. So that statement in itself is the main reason why we will need to come back again to talk about what we want to do, which in a sense is simply restructuring. So it is apt. While I consider that statement to be very unfortunate, I also think it says the timeline, the platform, the pedestal for us to start discussing. Nigeria cannot continue like this. Definitely we need to restructure. Restructure, according to the dictionary, is simply changing what you think is not good, changing what you think is not right. And from the last NSAS protest, you can tell where Nigeria is. If we don't restructure, we are seriously heading for doom. I have tried to find out from the charter where that gentleman was saying that the more land mass you have into the North Sea, the more you possess things that are in another man's place. I've not been able to find it. That statement will be true if we are truly Nigerian. But the question is Nigeria truly Nigeria in its sense? Is there equity? The answer is no. So to a larger extent, that statement is false, is wrong, it's not acceptable, it's terrible, and it's even incisive. It can even lead to trouble. So the question now is, restructuring has come to stay. It has to take place. How it will take place, we don't know, but it definitely needs to take place. And that gentleman has just answered the question for me. Restructuring now or never for Nigeria.
Dr. Loretta, many years ago, shortly after independence, Sir Amadu Bello made a statement which so many people in Nigeria, particularly from the eastern part of Nigeria, today, claim is still part of the ideology of the Northerners today. And what he said was that the Igbos should not be allowed to rule Nigeria, because when you give them chance, they dominate. They want to dominate everybody. And so for the Igbos to be allowed to rule Nigeria, they must ensure that they give that allowance to somebody on a contract basis and all of that. And looking at what has been happening since then to date, particularly following from the what's it called, the military coup of 66, 15th of January, and the one that followed in July, the Agui-Ronsi, and all of that, down the lane till this date, it seems that this same, ideology of the Northerners must maintain power, which, this the audio we just played just now is equally still, lays some claim to. Like it's a deep-seated ideology by certain parts of the Nigerian people to say we must be in this. And yet other Nigerians are saying, man, other part of Nigeria say, let us have restructuring. Now, given all of this, what do you agree with as a person? And what do you think should be the way forward?
Thank you. Thank you for that question. I think I'll tell you what I agree with and I'll tell you what the way forward is. But before we go into what I agree with, we should go back in history. It's always good to be good students of history. When you know where you are coming from, you will know, we will know where we are going to. The colonial masters, the persons who colonized the Niger area, the Niger area, whatever you want to call it, if you look at how they strategically work, they worked in such a way that it favored them. They worked in such a way that they did railway lines that were coming from the hinterland to the coast. They put together strange bedfellows. So different um, cultural setup, different beliefs, different way of reasoning, and they yoked all of them together. And then when they yoked them together, they, because they are very smart and have studied how the different peoples around the Niger area, Niger area, whatever you want to call it, how they behave and how they, their views on life, they decided, it's all about self-preservation, by the way. The colonial masters then decided what would aid our looting. And I am using this word today without any apology. What will aid our looting of these parts of Africa? There was a scramble for the continent. And then they decided that what will aid our looting is to put the set of people who will not, one, culturally question our authority, two, who will facilitate our entire looting of this area, and we will put them at the helm of affairs. When we put them at the helm of affairs, we will then psychologically drum up their importance and their possession of what we have just created. And that's what's happened. So they have succeeded in, when they said they unified the people, they actually factionated the people along the lines that would suit them. And they psychologically built up a template to say, hey, you are in charge of this contraption we have put together called Nigeria. And till date, they still maintain that they are in charge. So these kind of statements you see are emanating from the psychological boosting that these people have behind these things. Sometimes it's not even behind the scenes, it's outright. It's outright. The last time that Prince Charles came to Nigeria, we saw the arrangement, the sitting arrangement of the traditional rulers. You know, if you could read between the lines, you could see where it says, you are my own, I'm your own, you are in charge, and I sanction you being in charge. So over the years, there has been this sense of entitlement and ownership, and it has dovetailed into laziness, because the northern part of Nigeria, like every part of Africa, is very blessed. In fact, as far as I'm concerned, the finding of oil in Oloribiri was was more like bad fortune for the actual capital and human development of Nigeria. Immediately we saw this free for all, in quotes, resources. Everybody abandoned what was their unique um, production line. The pyramids of groundnut disappeared, as did all the groundnut oil. By now, Nigeria would have been exporting food to all of the African continent, courtesy of that northern Nigeria. So northern Nigeria is not poor by any means, and so is every other part of Nigeria. So for someone to say somewhere that they own what is somewhere else, and for us to have defied the first laws of economics and lay pipes from southern Nigeria to Kaduna to site a refinery, it beats anybody's imagination. So to answer your question, people have been made to have a sense of entitlement over the years, which they have transferred from generation to generation. And for us to now reset that sense of entitlement, we must change how everybody thinks. You know, there's this term in Nigeria, they say born to rule. When you are from the north, they tell you are born to rule. They see themselves like that. And ironically, the elite of the north are the ones that also hold their own people subjugate. They try not to get their people to be wizened up, if I can use that word, so that they can perpetuate themselves in that role. Whereas in the South, it's a hustle for, there's a hustle for societal strata. There's this hustle for, oh, you are not, I can always get to the top. Whereas in the North, there's a contentment. You know, Allah has said it should be like this. I will go to the rich man's house and beg for food every day. And perhaps all of these things make them think that the rest of Nigeria should be like that. The rest of Nigeria cannot be like that. It's only going to be for some time. People are coming up. The Midwest movement is there. You have IPOP doing their thing. Arewa has been doing their own thing in one corner, as has Oduduwa. The truth is that the individual sectors or landscapes or peoples in Nigeria have their own strengths, that if we as much as bothered to exploit it, we are stronger divided, or no, we are stronger in our difference. But it is that laziness, that free for all attitude, that oh, it's here. That's why we are not seeking what is under our nose. The north is blessed, the south is blessed, the east is blessed, the west is blessed. So to answer your question, what they're saying is not right. We need to move forward, and whether they like it or not, there's a parable in Binyawa Arimina, Anahu, Emina Nehia said, translated, if you're in a dream and you find that you pass on in that dream, it is not something that is not going to happen in real life. So the issue of restructuring Nigeria is something that's going to happen. It's only going to take time. It's going to happen.
Thank you very much, Dr. Loretta Oboroko. I think you've given us some historical establishment of this matter. Let's quickly go to Dr. Agbons. Dr. Agbons, the oil of the Niger Delta is acclaimed by one human being from the north, you know, that the oil belongs to the north, giving the rule of nautical miles into the sea by his argument. How does that sound to you, sir?
Thank you, Comrade Lamte. Austin and Loretta have built a foundation which I would just like to build on. What that gentleman said in that clip, I played it during the week, is laughable, and is I'm not one to always use bad language. It's very idiotic. I'm sorry to say that on your program, Lamte, but I have to. I don't know where he read his geography from. I don't know where he read his geology from. And I don't know where he got all his parameters and indices, where he got all his, I think all he said is just the malaise, is what that gentleman said is how the northern elite, how they see Nigeria as something they just put in their own pocket. So, and the video, I must tell you, I think that video is about, it came up during the agitation for resource control. You know, there was, I think that was before the ascendance of late President Musa Yaradua in 2007. So that was when, it was around that time this video came up. And it is good that this video is trending again, because the issue of restructuring of Nigeria is now on the front burner. The truth is this, like my other colleagues have said. without Nigeria being restructured, we are going to continue in this cyclical motion without movement. The country is not going to move forward. Look, we all know that they say this is a very popular word that they say necessity is the mother of invention. The palpable laziness in the Nigerian society, especially among our elite and the ruling class, is because of this oil that the Niger Delta have been given to everybody. So there is that laziness. Nobody is thinking outside the box. Oh, how much allocation we get this week? What is the price of crude oil going to be in 2021? What is it going to be in 2022? So there's no thinking. There is no creativity. There is no innovation. Everybody is just sitting down and the unitary system. Oh, what is our allocation from Abuja this month? All the 36 states are waiting. So nothing is happening. So this is where restructuring came in. But the painful thing, I've said this in your previous program, Comrade Lamte, that this current government of President Muhammadu Buhari, one of the main things they used to campaign was that they said they will restructure Nigeria. But 5 years into this government, we have not had anything. They just kept that in the burner. Nobody is talking about it. So, but look, they say every day for the chief, but one day for the owner. Like Loretta said, somebody dreamt that he died. It is not something that is not going to happen. Because definitely every day, one day, every person will go to the great beyond. So whether the North likes it or not, it is very clear that this forced marriage, which the British did, colonial masters did, when they ruled Nigeria, this forced marriage is not going to work. We are getting there. We are getting there. Because the Middle Belt, the South, the Midwest, the Oduduwa, the Igbos, look, the pointers are very clear. And I believe that we will get there. The country has to be restructured. We can't continue like this.
Thank you very much, Dr. Agbons. Austin, I'm going to ask you this. I'm very careful not to be seen as one preaching, this whole concept of this North and South divide. However, there's huge, there's noticeable and palpable injustice, within the entire framework of Nigeria. So much. Every major thing is cited in the North. A lot just, slightly made mention of the pipeline taken from the Niger Delta, where the raw material is, and taken through, thousands of miles to the core north to site a refinery and all of that. When you look at the Niger Delta, I want to try to establish this. Because of the oil that Nigeria is taking from the Niger Delta, they no longer have farmlands. Their rivers have become porous. They cannot fish anymore. The land is not developed. They shortchanged the people. They not gave something that they called NDDC, put a few hundreds of thousands in the hands of a few, people to further decolonize them. Those will start fighting, to get their own, chunk of whatever is coming through NDDC to further, oppress the downtrodden. And yet, you don't find any meaningful structure in place guarantee better future for these people, and everything is going straight to the north. Are the Southerners very foolish to allow these things to go? How can you describe the role of the Southern people, in this whole Nigeria equation? That is because if at the end of the day, if the leaders of yesterday, from the Southern divide, they were able to hold their ground to say, no, we cannot allow this. Are you sure that this level of marginalization or neocolonization by Nigerians from the Northern divide, are you sure it would have been possible? Can we really say on this public domain that Southerners have been majorly foolish people in this process? Austin.
Thank you so much, Lamte. Sometimes I think about this and I really, really, really weep because of what is happening. because the South, we are the most educated. You can't take that from us. But when it comes to the table of leadership and making decisions, we appear to be foolish, like you said. Could it be that we are just trying to be more pragmatic and trying to say, yes, we are one Nigeria, when one Nigeria has not led us anywhere? Another thing I've also found, probably Loretta alluded to that, maybe the British and the Northerners found that we from the South, we appear and seem to be very greedy. And they seem to have seen the greed in us. And that greed is always to our own pocket. Because if you ask the Northerner, they will tell you they've given you NDDC, they've given you PTI, they've named certain things to our side. But if you then break it down, the leadership of this group are Southerners themselves, but they are the one that's siphoning money. Look at the case of NDDC and look at Mr. Akpabio. The North will tell you they are not in charge. This money is given to your brothers. They don't do anything. They put it in their pocket. So that greed has sort of made our life not progressive. And our representatives, when they go to the National Assembly, seem to forget where they come from. Their agitation is more personal. It's more to themselves. They forget the cry of our people. I served in Delta State. During the time that I served in Delta State, that was when you had lots of fighting, infighting, and killing. Their lands are totally not farmable anymore. There is no space at all. The entire Niger Delta is wiped out. Yet, we cannot see any development in our side. Remember, it was during Abacha time that they sponsored lots of Niger Delta youth to Abuja. It was when they saw Abuja and the development, and they said, what? This is what oil money did. That was when agitation started, because they now saw what their money was doing. I also have the privilege of doing my IT in NNPC. Do you know that the NNPC factories all in Benin are all headed by Northerners? All of them. The medical corps everywhere. I was discussing with a friend 2 weeks ago who told me that the entire NNPC architecture is not controlled entirely by the North. And these are the North that we say are not educated. We say they don't know what they are doing. So if you look at it, to answer your question point blank, the South appear to be foolish. Whether it's fear, whether it's loyalty to our country, I don't really know what to put it. But this foolishness will not continue forever. Hence, you can see the clamor for restructuring. And like Loretta alluded to, even the North themselves, they are still impoverished. It's only a small set of the North that is doing all this. If you go deep down, you see poverty, you see deprivation, you see suffering to the core masses of the North. But their elite has found a way of robbing things with us. And two of our discussants today have already alluded that has made us foolish. So probably our wiseness, our education from the South has now given us that foolishness to another level. So much so that all we wait for is just money from the federal government to come and share. So the Southerners need to wake up, because we are the ones really suffering. They say to much level that you are educated, that's how you see your horizon. We are very educated from the South. So we are seeing forward that things are really difficult and it must not continue like this. And whether the North likes it or not, restructuring will have to happen. If we must remain as a country, we are not saying that they will not have anything to do with the South, but there must be equitable distribution of natural resources. Somebody just said last time, I think they found gold in Katsina State or Niger, and the person said that belongs to only Niger State. But the oil of the north of Niger Delta does not belong to Niger Delta alone. Let me also shock you. Do you know the oil wells in our country? Majority of them, if not over 70 to 65 to 70%, belong to the Northerners. How do we allow that to happen? And some of our leaders, it was also recorded that it was during the Obasanjo time that you had large chunk of these oil wells given to the North. So we continue to do a disservice, our elite continue to do a disservice to the Southerners. Tony alluded that this present government, I supported them because they said they were going to do restructuring. Even beyond that, during Jonathan's second term, when he took over from the late Yaradua, he called a constitutional conference, and everybody that came for that conference was paid 1 million naira. The document from that conference is still lying. Jonathan spent 2 years in office before he won his other term for 4 years. That document was not open. Again, you ask yourself, the Sultana was at the end of affair. What stopped us from opening that document and having that discourse? Is it the North that Iteto doesn't want us to progress that will make that? So that has been our story for a very long time. But it's about to change. And simply put, the Southern leaders, those before and those currently in office, they failed us. I wouldn't say they are totally foolish, but in some sort, they've been.
Thank you very much. That's Austin Remiran. Dr. Lawson, I'm going to ask you, this is a very quick one. Recently, we had the End SARS protest, which actually, metamorphosed into, well, let us address all other issues in Nigeria. Would it not be safe to argue, would it not be wise to argue, that this protest, particularly from the Southern Divide, should have been directed against those that have compromised, the southern part of Nigeria within the structure of this discourse? Particularly having established by Austin, and many people will agree, that predominantly, majorly, the Southerners and those who should speak on behalf of the South, have been majorly foolish or self-centered or whatever it is. And we're not supposed to restructure our stakeholders representing us from the South first before we talk about restructuring the entire Nigeria? Dr. Loretta.
Thank you. That's a good question. I don't even think it is only our stakeholders that we should restructure first before we start restructuring the rest of Nigeria. I believe that we should restructure each and every one of us first. I believe that we should internally work from our minds, our mindset first, before we start wanting to restructure the rest of Nigeria. And I'm not saying this as a trivia, neither am I losing sight of the fact that revolution or changes first happen in the minds of people. In fact, it is because I understand this fact that I'm saying it this way. If you look at how the NSAS protest started out and how it moved, actually, to be fair, it started out in Ugeli. When the Midwest movement made a statement, they actually identified that it was when someone was innocently killed by SARS, purportedly in Ugeli, that was what sparked that particular incident going viral. Now, if you look at a man like Desmond Elliot, he gives you insight into why I say we must first of all restructure our hearts, ourselves, our mindset in whatever geographical locale we are in Nigeria. I looked at speeches made by Desmond Elliot in the past. People pulled it out, when he started talking now. And I saw how he said he was going to come there, reinforce the youth, speak for the youth, and then do this, do that. And a few years down the line, he's completely saying the opposite. Now, the question is why? And the reason is simple. He hadn't restructured his own mindset. He hadn't restructured what he truly stood for. I mean, another person was arguing with me today. They said, oh, he went there. If you can't beat them, you join them. He was in a minority, so he started acting like them. And I said, no. The truth is that if you don't have a strong foundation, you don't stand for anything. So you fall for whatever you see. And this is the core problem we are having. A practical example, Ante. When I went to Federal Benin, I went to a federal school, a unity school as we call them. I had my northern contemporaries, they were on scholarship. And then I had some of us from the South, we are also on scholarship. Granted, those from the North came in through the quota system, and almost all of them were on scholarship. But that wasn't our problem. The main difference came in the administration of these scholarships. The Northerners will get a brand new uniform, a new set every term. They will get their books. They will get their monies in time. The Southerners, we don't get ours. We struggle, we hustle, we beg for it. Now, what was happening? While the people responsible for administering the scholarships of the North did their job, those responsible for administering the scholarships of the South and the Southerners didn't do their job. The question is why? And if you go into our hinterlands and go into our different communities, you will see that you give a man money to tie a road in the South. He will first of all go and marry 3 wives. He has not started the road. But let's be honest with ourselves. Let us first of all try and end the SARS within us, in quotes, each and every one of us. You give the money to a northerner in the north, and they actually tar the roads. I don't know how that happens. I don't know how this is just the case. It is not necessarily that they are better in terms of, because I always say all human beings are the same. There's just something environmentally that makes them do that, and there's something that makes us do the way we do in the South. I don't know. You will gather Southerners. I belong to different Southern platforms. Austin and Tony, you know that. And all people do is talk, 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 talk. The verb to do is missing. Immediately it's time to do. You don't see us. And I am just fortunate to belong to a few northern groups where I have a few northerners. My brother, they do. Fine, you could argue that it's still the northern elite. Okay? But I see them taking action. And if I want to compare like for like, the groups I belong to in the South as well are the southern elites. So what is it that makes us not do anything? And you know what I discovered? I discovered that it was fragmentation. It was the inability to sew one line. It was the greed, or it is, because it is present continuous. It is the greed. It is the reason why BP, instead of mopping up their mess in the Niger Delta, we give money to one chief. When BP or Shell knows that that chief can never clear that environment, that environment has been dilapidated, but they will give money to that chief and they will not do their part of the work. Is there anywhere in the UK where BP will pay a chief to clear the dilapidation of the environment or the sludge being put into the environment? When I went to Bonny Creek one time, I wept. I cried. So please, I think we need to first of all do that innate SARS cleansing inside each and every one of us, not just our leaders. I don't call them leaders, by the way, they are rulers. Inside me, you start with you. I do my own. Austin does his own. Tony does his own. Everybody has to do their own. And then we'll now do a general Ubuntu. We'll now realize that you are because I am. That's the only way we'll pick up. We had many people who were from the South, who were ministers for transport in this country. What are the southern roads like compared to the northern roads? You find people saying, oh, Biafra, Biafra. Have you been to the East? Have you seen the roads? Can the 5 governors of the East not come together and say, let us first of all take road construction? You tell me, oh, it's federal roads. That is for the federal government.
Okay.
It is still this
I want to
monopoly from the
I want to
center.
quickly let me quickly take you up on this. You know, since you mentioned the governors, and we're talking of, I mean, holistically, we seem to agree that there is the need for something to change in Nigeria, and if anything is changing, it's got to do with, you know, restructuring, as it were. Okay, but I probably will just, you know, take on Dr. Tony. Dr. Tony, I mean, she mentioned the governors. Okay, the governors are the leaders of their own, states in the south. And if we are agreeing that there is a need for us to reorientate or restructure, us from the southern divide, we expect the governors to, to play their roles in this matter. From your own, thoughts, how do you think we, from the southern divide, can actually begin to play by the book of unity, unity of purpose from the south in approaching some of these things?
Yeah, thank you, Comrade Lamptey. Before I answer your question of what we need to do, let me just pick off a little bit, and is what I've always said in forums when I go to speak about this restructuring. Look, I agree with what Dr. Loretta said about us restructuring our minds, our mentality. But when we say restructuring of Nigeria, we need to understand that politics is huge in directing economy. Politics is huge in directing happiness of a people. So that aside, I talked about laziness of thought, laziness of creativity, and all that. Where restructuring will help Nigeria is we're talking of how the system is run. What we have in Nigeria, yes, the South, we have our problems, corruption, even in the North there's corruption, but it is all streaming from a wrong foundation. That is why, because nothing is challenging anybody. You just know that at the end of the month, allocation will come. So there's nothing really happening in terms of our governance. So, and the component part of the country, we are not growing. So there's really nothing happening. Everybody is just looking at, what the federal government will bring. So that aside. Now to your question, what I think we need to do as a people, both the North and the South, is for us to, because before now there's always been, the unity of the country is non-negotiable. I grew up hearing that under successive military government in Nigeria. And in the 21 years we've had unbroken democracy, most of our leaders also say that we need to discuss. But it is funny that at state level, the representatives of the people, they are not ready. Look, let me tell you, Comrade Lamptey, there was a time they were doing constitutional amendments, National Assembly. They asked the state assemblies to vote for autonomy, because for that to become law in Nigeria, I think about 24 or so, but I'm not very sure. But a large majority of the State House of Assembly must vote that they should be autonomous. Most of them voted against autonomy. Our political class, they are naive. They are self-serving. For instance, we are all saying restructure now. And example has been made of somebody like Desmond Elliott, who is very young. Once they get into position, they forget why they went there. And what you hear now from our politicians, if you are close to some of them, when you talk to them, they say, my brother, person where they eat, they talk, because they see it as an opportunity to eat. So there is no contract between them and the people they are supposed to serve. So this is across all levels of our governance, from the local government to the state level and to the federal. So, but we have just been lucky that sometimes a state may just be lucky, like Anambra at a time. They had a governor who was working for them, Peter Obi. Edo now, we are lucky. We have a governor who is working for us. So there have been this sprinkle.
Dr. Agbons, what do we do to change this narrative? I mean, to make it practical, to bring everybody on board. What
the country
we should do?
We must practice proper federalism. We must look. We talk about Venn diagram in mathematics. So we are a part. The little parts are part of the whole. We must practice proper federalism so that creativity and innovation and challenge for human endeavor can come back to our society and our generation. If we continue like this, my brother,
No,
make we
look, man.
forget.
I think that the path to proper federalism is actually what is under discourse, and that we do not have unity of purpose. You know, why one is saying A, the other one is saying B, and as a matter of fact, we are divided as a people, and so therefore it looks like, you know, that our brothers in the north, they even appear, you know, more united. Now I want to go quickly to Austin. Austin, in 1967, just before the Civil War, you know, began proper, there was this conference at Aburi where the Ghana president wanted to, you know, mediate, you know, in the affairs of Nigeria so that we don't have a civil war. And in that conference, there was agreement, you know, agreed to buy, you know, Ojugu himself, and of course, Gowon. You understand? And that they are going to go back and make Nigeria start practicing a confederal state. A confederal state where, you know, power actually, you know, goes to the regions, and of course some level of federalism is practiced there because you are going to take ownership of what you produce and things like that. But by the time what's his name, by the time they got home, Gowon reneged on that arrangement. By the time probably he fully understood that this arrangement will be one arrangement that you know, will be one arrangement that may not, you know, be favorable or whatever. For whatever reason, he reneged. And upon reneging, Ojukwu equally said, well, Biafra has to go. You know, and that actually propelled the Civil War to begin proper. Okay? That happened. So within that same, you know, concept, Buhari came on board, and there was wide promise of restructuring when he becomes president. Today, they are reneging and all of that. So, given all of this, Austin, what should this nation do? Really? Can't we begin to see that the agitation of the Biafra people is legitimate? Or is there a way around this? From your own perspective.
Every agitation from every facet of Nigeria, including myself, Dr. Loretta, Dr. Tony, and yourself, is legitimate. Every grievance in Nigeria that everybody is crying for is legitimate. The problem is we don't have a proper system to lay our grievance to. My fear and worry is once we elect these leaders to this position, I fear they may not have the stomach to effect the restructuring. I am just thinking, maybe in the next dispensation, we should have a party that would say our mission is to restructure. We will then vote them on that toga of restructure, so that when they go there, they would go and restructure. Because if we continue with status quo like we did with Buhari, he is there now. He's not talking about restructuring. And me and you don't have the power. If we decide to do that forcefully, we might be accused of mutiny. So maybe young people like us would then need to come together, as NSAS is about to give us, a party of young minds cut across the entire country. We don't want the North to go away. That's not what I'm agitating for. I want Nigeria to remain, but I want a discussion where there will be equitable distribution of all our resources, and all of us will come to the table with some degree of equalness, which is what we don't have. But my worry, if we rely on the present leadership, we may not get it. So it is time for young people now to come and take that decision, so that when we get to office, we will know that we are coming for a discussion, or we have a government that say, okay, my first 100 days of office, I don't just want to be president, I want to have that discussion. And that is my annoyance with President Goodluck Jonathan, because when he called for that constitutional conference 2 years into his office, I thought he was going to implement it. He never did. What of the waste report? It talks something about restructuring. Nobody implemented. So we now know that once we elect them, they will never restructure because they are not going to give up their office. So we then need to look for a way of young people, young minds coming together, forming a party cut across the country whose mission will be for restructuring. Because if we wait for the National Assembly, they will not do it. There are people so empowered to, but they will not do it. Or another thing will be, maybe let's get young people to get to the National Assembly and then begin to have that discussion. Because my brother Lamptey, this restructuring must happen. How is going to happen without bloodshed, without war, without disunity worries me. But with the present elite, I don't see it happening, because no sooner are they got there, their pocket is filled up and they are not interested in what will happen to the masses again. Desmond Elliot issue is a clear example.
Thank you very much. Dr. Loretta, you know, they say freedom comes by struggle. What we are talking about right now, we are majorly trying to talk about achieving this whole process by way of peace, by negotiation and all of that. I think Nigerians have been negotiating for quite a while. Look at the vista being opened up by, Austin. For instance, we have a National Assembly which members collect not less than 40 million on a monthly basis. And they've had the effrontery of approving just a meager 30,000 naira as minimum wage. Why they take home not less than 40 million on a monthly basis. Okay? Now, these are the same people empowered to, give us this discourse. And we have a president, a Nigerian president, who's able to come out to tell us that it is not reasonable for fuel, for petroleum product to be cheaper in Nigeria than in Saudi Arabia. But he forgets to tell us that the minimum wage in Nigeria is 30,000 naira, while the minimum wage in Saudi Arabia is over 300,000 naira. Now, given all of these dynamics and the difficulty that we can see from the practical approach to this program so far, that peace is going to be difficult, as a way of actualizing this. And we know from what is often said that freedom comes by struggle. Would you align with the proponents of serious struggle, even if it leads to violence, for us to get this freedom?
The truth is, my brothers here in the studio, my brothers all listening, and my sisters listening across the world, there is no free freedom. There is no free freedom. It was Gowon who said that the task to keep Nigeria one, the task that must be done. And you see that when we talk about restructuring, people start chipping in and saying, no, the unity of the country should not be compromised. The unity of the country should not be compromised. The truth is that restructuring and true federalism does not mean that Nigeria will break up. That's the truth. And I don't know what people are scared of, if not greed for the subsectors. It just means that, like Austin has said, there will be equity in the way things are shared. There will be no more monopoly from the center and from one half of the country. Now, if we think that a lawmaker who is earning 40 million a month is going to suddenly wake up and say, oh my God, I had a dream last night and a vision. I don't want to earn 40 million anymore. We are joking. Nigerians, and this is what the NSAS protest has started. It has created that consciousness for the followership, which is now awoke, to question the rulership and turn that rulership to leadership. Because if we do not hold our leaders accountable, I can just imagine how many primary healthcare centers I can run with 40 million every month. If we actually have value for human life, we will know that the cost of governance in Nigeria is too much. I expected that when Buhari came in, he's going to make certain weird rules that were never made before that will change our country. For instance, he was going to say, I don't need sirens. He was going to say, how many cars are in the federal fleet? If there are 20, please, I need only 5. He's going to say, how much does it cost to run the state house every month? If it's 6 million, I want it to now be 1 million. And when he leads by that kind of example, I was not expecting that the others would follow, and they will follow whatever constitutional path that is required to amend all of these wastage. But they won't do it. According to my mama, he said, you see who they put sugar for him mouth where no one lick am. So if we expect these people to do that, we won't have it. So we need the critical mass. And the critical mass is beginning to understand that there is no free freedom. Blood must water the tree of liberty. It doesn't matter how we are going to say it. Go down in history lane and see how it works. So, and Nigerians are beginning to realize it. Today, my friend said to me, he said some of those people who died in the NSAS protest, if you had told them that come and die for Nigeria, they will say, no, not me, they'll run back. But inadvertently, they have died for the country. And their blood will not go unanswered. And many more is going to come. So, my dear brother, there is nothing that is free. The critical mass in Nigeria, Nigerians across the world, and friends of Nigerians must decide that they want to come together to change Nigeria for Nigerians. We shouldn't start running for foreign aid and thinking some other people will come and fight for our freedom. Nobody's going to love a Nigerian. Nobody's going to love Nigeria more than Nigerians. Nobody. So that case of you saying, oh, I'm going to get the UK people to join. I was telling people, I said, when all these things was happening in Nigeria, how many other country nationals change their flags, change their GPs for us? But when something happens in France, you see Nigerians, we don't know the flag. We don't know ourselves. We not just know ourselves.
Thank you, my sister. Dr. Agbons, she has said the critical mass.
Can I, before you ask your question, I want to just put some icing on the cake that Loretta has just dropped just now.
Go ahead, sir.
If you will allow me, sir.
Go ahead.
You see, from what Loretta was saying, I thank you, my sister, for raising that up. In Nigeria, when you talk of restructuring, people say, hey, you want to break the country up? Oh, no, it is not. It is the practice of true federalism, where the component parts of a country or a nation state, they all work on their own, at their pace, according to what they have, according to what they can do, for the good of the general state. Now, if you look at the Nigerian Constitution, 1999, the second schedule, this is one area most Nigerians they need to look at. If you look at that second schedule, we have ABAS on the exclusive legislative list. It is this schedule that shows what federal government will do and what state government will do. We have 68 critical items of national life there. But if this is everything here, the federal government have to do it. Then if you go to the concurrent list, that is what one state government will do another, there are only 30 items there. Excuse me. So these are some of the things when we talk of, say, proper federalism, we need to look at this list and take certain things up and say, okay, state government, you both begin to do this. Like security, state, you do this. Like transportation, state, you do this. Railway, state, you do it. Aviation, state, you do it. So these are some of the things.
Making money from national security, how am I going to now want to propagate state security? You know, no, because I don't understand the meaning of true federalism, because greed has obstructed my reasoning. That's what I'm trying to tell you, that we must demand this true federalism. We don't just expect people to wake up and say, oh, this is not your true federalism, take it. And that's what Lamte is saying. It comes at a cost. It comes as a sacrifice. The Midwest, the IPOB, everybody needs to go back to the drawing board and think, how are we going to get these things sorted? How are we going to get it to work without any form of, greediness and feeling superior, and actually doing it the way it should be done? There are ways to do these things.
Yeah, but I think we are getting there, because the NSAS thing, sorry, Lamte, just a minute. The NSAS thing has shown that the mass of the Nigerian people can actually take their destiny in their hands. So we are getting there. The first, somebody said this is at one scene one. We will get there.
We are getting there. Austin Iramiram.
You were going to ask me a question.
According to Agbons. And of course, according to Dr. Loretta, she did mention the critical mass. And of course, we are looking to, and we are were almost agreeing that this matter of restructuring, this matter of national discourse may not be something that we can get, with peace. Are we ready to pay that price as young people, most especially, for the future of Nigeria? Austin.
I think we are. The NSAS has shown that maybe it's going to take some time. Like Loretta said, people are now beginning to be aware because a time will come, it will become very clear to everybody. Maybe we see some degree of clarity in the south, but it's also going to the north because majority of the warehouses that were looted happened more in the north. And I was listening to Facebook.
Mr. Austin, I'm sorry to I'm interrupting you. I mean, are you sure the youth are ready? For instance, Dr. Letta tried to establish just now. She mentioned someone like Desmond Elliott, who belongs to our generation, who's a youth, and we have a number of them like that. If you look at political processes and the people being used, to destroy electoral processes and all of that, to rig, to kill, to do different things, they are actually the youth of our generation at the end of the day. And we actually need these youth to come together to demand that which is necessary for Nigeria to advance. Given all of these mixed bag of issues with our youth, as it were, are you really sure that we are ready?
Anyway, Comrade, according to the book of Hebrew, we have to have faith. And if we lose faith, then we'll say no. So long as we have youth, I am hopeful. I have the faith that it will happen. Whether it will happen now, I can't put a time to it, but there is that general awareness that is coming on. Even the Desmond Elliots of this world, sometimes they say things from their mouth that doesn't come from their mind, which goes back to what Loretta said. We need to have that change of mind. When there's a desire coming from the mind, it's not different from what it is in the lips. Because they've seen money, they can't act otherwise. Like somebody will say, usually when we debate, to say, can you put sugar in your mouth and ask for bitter leaf? They have sugar in their mouth. They can never ask for bitter leaf. The sugar that they have is the money they are making. But I believe in the Nigerian youth. I didn't believe before, but what I saw with the NSAS protest has created the platform. How long that will take, I don't know. But Comrade, I must assure you, maybe I hope it happen in my lifetime. But I think the destiny of Nigerians lie in the hands of the youth, and I believe we shall get there. Remember, there are two things plaguing us in Nigeria. One is lack of education and greed coming from money. If 4 of us were to go on a protest now, with our level of education, we will never destroy anything. Even if we are arrested, we will never destroy anything. But remember, a large chunk of people are not educated, so they see protest as a way of looting. And the political elite know that. So they don't want education to pass a certain level. Then, of course, 4 of us, I don't think any of us can be bought with money. Because of our level of education, I would think we are comfortable. Realizing that majority of the youths are not comfortable. They know that people can only be bought by money. But a time will come where the fight for the survival of our country will be generic. It will come from the mind. I pray it happen in my time because we need that inward pumping. So to answer your question prophetically, let me say I believe and I think it will happen. The youth will come to that reality and take our country where we want our country to go. Because the old men will not help us. The old women will not help us. The life of this country lie in the youths, from those between 20 to about 45, 55, going to 60. That is the critical mass that is important for where it is now. Maybe again, we can take the fight to another level, not only physical, but soft. Let this information continue to go around. Let's apply technology. Let's apply everything that we have to turn Nigeria around. We can't remain like this if we will not move forward.
Thank you very much. I want to quickly ask Dr. Agbons this. Dr. Agbons, given where we are right now, okay, because there seems to be some level of misconception, fears and all of that, when people talk about restructuring, and all of that. Can you give us a clear perspective of what restructuring will be if we are able to restructure Nigeria? The outlook of Nigeria if we are able to get restructuring right. Just
Yeah, thank you.
by way of
Yeah,
informing the general public, sir.
yes. I just want to, yeah, so that people will get this clearly. I think Loretta mentioned it. When we say restructuring, um, it is not to divide the country. It is not. When we say restructuring, we are looking at the 36 states as they are. For instance, each of these states, they are in charge of their resources and they remit to the central government like we have it. So it's going to be a reversal of what we are doing at the moment. So that is restructuring. For instance, let me just give you an example. I was speaking today in church because we were doing a program praying for Nigeria in my church.
Are
And
you
I
restructuring
want
in
to
your
give, I want
church?
to, no, I want to give, yeah, today we had a prayer session for Nigeria. I gave this,
Okay,
I
I
said
thought
this
it was
thing.
restructuring in church.
Yeah, listen, kind of restructuring on, this is security now, on
Okay.
security. The UK has a population, because I work with figures and data every day of my life. The UK has a population of 66.5 million. This UK has 47 separate police forces. 47. A country with 66 million people. So of these 47 separate police, 43 are in England and Wales. 2 are in Scotland and Northern Ireland. And then they have 2 specialist police forces handling transportation, the one they call British Transport Police, and then another one they call the Civil Nuclear Constabulary, making 47. Now look at Nigeria, 196 million as at the latest check. We have 1 police force. 1. So when you juxtapose these figures together, you will see where we have problem. Nothing will happen. So let the component part of Nigeria do what they have to do. For instance, we talk of gold that was found in Zamfara. Fine. If there is gold there, let the Zamfara government, yes, let them refine the gold, and then they make royalty to the central government. Delta State, you have oil, you have whatever, produce, agriculture, you make remit. So that is how a federal system works. Like Austin said, the look, not even the answers. I must say this, and so some people, they were trying to fight me last week when I said it in one discussion. I said it is the Edo State election that snowballed into SARS. That Edo State election showed that when people, the mass of people come together, they can change their destiny. Now, whether we like it or not, the end SARS protest has been a huge success. Other things will follow. And I believe we are moving gradually to the stage where there will be a huge demand for a proper federation, and we are getting there soon.
Okay, I'll quickly go to Dr. Loretta. Dr. Loretta, if we get restructuring right, well, right now we have skirmishes of agitations here and there. We have the Biafra, very high, on the matter. We have Oduduwa. Now we are beginning to have, the Midwest region and so many others and all of that. If we
We've
get,
always had the Midwest. The Midwest is the
no,
only
I'm
properly
going to talk about
constituted region.
agitation right now, agitations. Okay, the Midwest are already getting, they already key gradually now into demanding for self-governance. Though they have not made a statement, but things are tilting towards that direction. What I'm trying to say is that as we linger, inside this imbroglio, as it were, more agitations are bound to, to resuscitate, as it were. The question I want to ask is this. If we get restructuring right, particularly economic restructuring and security restructuring, as it were, are you sure that all these wranglings by these various interest groups by way of agitations will be quelled?
Of course, it will be quelled, because when you get restructuring right, you are going to get not just economic liberation, you are going to get a liberation of the minds of people. There are people who tell you that all their life in the north, they cannot ascend beyond a particular level in the place where they are working. So if you actually restructure the places well, people will first of all have their own landing base. And then just like you move from country to country, just like you have inter-country migration. We will now have intra-regional migration in Nigeria, where, oh, there's something going on in the eastern region. I have the skills for there. I go there. If an Easterner sees something going on in the Midwest, he comes there. And if I see something that interests me in the North, I migrate there. You see, the problem is the fear of change and the greed of the people. Because honestly, restructuring is just going to open so many doors, and the people are going to be actually, obviously, there's never a time that people are 100% content. They say the needs, or rather the wants of man, are insatiable. Yes, but to a large extent right now, we are not even wanting. Our basic needs is in shambles. People cannot even afford square meals. I was telling my friend, I said people are rushing and carrying cartons of Indomie. Do you know Indomie and monosodium glutamate is the worst damage you can do to your heart and your vessels as a black person? On the health front, that's our palliative is even consisting of something very highly laden in monosodium glutamate. As a country, we have a problem. And I don't know why the health experts in our country and the people in our country are not seeing this.
Please, can you, I mean, excuse me, Dr. Lata, please, we are not just going to rush over that. That matter you just mentioned just now, a lot of people are watching, a lot of others are going to watch later that may not be aware. Can you break that matter down a bit so that people will understand?
There is nothing to break down. Carry that your phone that you used to do WhatsApp and Facebook and type in monosodium glutamate. That is one of the major constituents of that Indomie Maggi or Indomie spice, as you people call it. And that is not healthy. It is not healthy for your kidneys. It's not good for your heart. It is not good. I don't know how else to say it from a medical point of view. It is not good. The palliatives, I don't even know why they call it palliatives, because that means that someone is almost dying and you're coming to lend a hand. You know, we needed to give it that, maybe rescue, something, another better name even, that other countries shared. Did you see Indomie inside? Did you see that our own, the vast constituent was Indomie? Why is it that we don't research things properly, even on a government front? Maybe, just maybe by the time we restructure, we will have square pegs in square holes. We will have people who will actually have proper value for human life in their regions. Because I cannot be anywhere near the decision-making tables of the Midwest, for instance, and you tell me you want to make Indomie the staple content of whatever you want to give people as rescue feeding. We don't know what is increasing Nigerians' population in terms of renal failure and all these things that are happening. So it is not, see, it is on your phone. Don't wait for me to, I have said it, and I'm saying it with correct evidence. Comrade, you Google it and read it out and let people see. So please, let us begin to investigate and begin to participate in governance, in those who rule us, in those who make decisions on our behalf. Because if we form a nonchalance, if we say, I beg you not concern me, politics is too dirty, I cannot come inside, you leave a vacuum. And a vacuum is abhorred by nature. Nature must fill a vacuum, and nature will fill that vacuum for you. You will then have people who just don't understand the meaning of value for human life making decisions on your behalf. And with respect to restructuring through federalism, you just find that people don't want to think along those lines because they are currently benefiting from this center, this strong center and weak periphery. They are benefiting from the mono economy, in quotes. They are benefiting from the current status quo. Somebody told me that some people are not joining the NSAS protest because they are waiting for their time to loot Nigeria. If you now come and restructure Nigeria and make it better, that means their time will never come. They will never loot. Can you imagine? So I think programs like this can only serve to push the narrative. We must own our narrative. I always say that. If you propagate your narrative, and you propagate it rightly, then nobody else is going to come and instruct your canvas. You paint your own picture on your canvas. And unless and until Nigerians begin to propagate their own narrative, by ourselves, like we've just seen demonstrated, we will not expect change in a holistic manner. We will not.
Thank you very much, Dr. Loretta Oboroko. As usual, time is usually not our friends. We had a lot planned out for this evening, but we've come to the point where we need to. Of course, an open-ended discussion, where we need to continue with this discourse another time. We've been talking about restructuring, talking about the state of Nigeria as it were. Like the Bible says, it says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and every other thing shall be added. The way Nigeria is today is becoming a matter of seek ye first restructuring and every other thing will fall in place. And we've identified now from the doctor in the house that even the Indomie that people, so much fought and did a lot about has some elements in it that is not very healthy for us as a people. And of course, we needed our government to know this, understand this, and let us know at least, and all of that. So that is, the smallest level, with which things can actually, be bad for all of us as a people. But I will say from here that Nigeria is overdue for restructuring. And we have equally identified that, for those who are supposed to be stakeholders to determine when and how to go about it, many of them are benefactors of the system that has crippled her people. They are benefactors of the system that consistently, subjugates the collective will of everybody. And so to that extent, we have equally identified that, freedom, like they say, come always by struggle. And the struggle is ongoing. And luta continua, as they say in the university, Victoria Sata. And so we are still hoping that victory will come. But if anybody is there, they're dreaming and hoping that this victory, will be given just like that. We have come to convince ourselves that the victory is not going to be given just like that. We are going to demand our freedom. And people have made, different assertions and all of that. Some of them are going to come. And we are hoping that our people, everybody, I'm not going to talk about the youth alone. I think we can almost agree that every demographic will be involved in this process. And at the end of the day, someday, sometime, this freedom is going to come. But until it does, from the Comrade Show, from the Comrades and Friends, we are going to continue to talk about this. Please, Dr. Agbons, just a last word and say, good night to the people.
My last word is just a quotation from Steve Biko, the South African activist. He said, the most potent weapon in the hands of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. With the NSAS protests and some other things that followed, the Nigerian people have woken up, and we'll take our bath, and soon there will be dressing, and actions will follow. I don't think this restructuring is not going to happen. It will happen. My people, thank you, or those who have been following our program. Thanks so much. God bless you all. Have a very beautiful new month.
Pharmacist Austin Iremiran. Last word
My
for this
people,
evening.
my people. Happy new month to all of you. Restructuring is the only way. We pray it happen in our time. Thanks for joining us, and do have a very good weekend. Remember, COVID-19 is coming again. Remember to wash your hands, give your 2-meter distance, and do the needful. Thank you.
God bless you. Dr. Loretta Oboroko.
I just want to endear Nigerians across the world, wherever they are, that they shouldn't give up hope. For those who think that restructuring is going to cause the division of the country, it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. True federalism will not necessarily discontinue the entity you currently know as Nigeria, except we also want it to. And if that's not what we want, then that's not what we will get. But sitting down and thinking that magic will happen is not the case. And just like we've seen in the end SARS, you may stop the war for a moment, but that doesn't mean that the battle has ended. It's going to keep going on in the hearts of the people until such a time that it's going to bust loose again. So until then, let's keep pushing our collective narrative that will make us better. Restructuring is the way. True federalism, not pseudo federalism that we are practicing now, is the way. See you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Loretta. We are hoping that the authorities are listening. The Benin man says, and I interpret, the Edo people, they not necessarily don't hold meetings to plan, but they have one thing in their mind. And when the time comes, everybody will manifest towards the direction of that thing they all have in mind. So, and I think we think that that is the same way this matter is. Right now, Nigerians across board, from every demographic, whether youth, old, women, young, whatever, we believe in something. And that is that there are a few Nigerians, that are perpetually keeping us under. And at some point, Nigerians will rise. And so if the political elite and those who are privileged, to be at the forefront, to help determine how the process will go, if they know what is best for them, they should put everything in motion right now to make Nigeria have a peaceful restructuring. Because they say, when peaceful change becomes a difficulty, it may therefore give room for violent change to become inevitable. On that note, my people, a very good evening to you. My name is Comrade Lamte Oriaki. We are signing off now. We'll see you again. It is the Comrade and Friends. Have a good night.
Comrade Lamte Oriaki, live on Facebook and YouTube. Like us, follow us, and be the first to know. Peace.